Subscribe or I'ma fight you. Here we go. We got the stupidity of school fights. I loved watching school fights when I was younger.
School fights, an event that happened at every single school. It happens frequently in schools and less frequently in other schools. American schools are school fight academia. I can bet. There's never a time when American
University
students aren't civilized and don't resort to violence at every turn. Am I right or am I right? School fights can develop due to a multitude.
Is this psychotic? I used to sit in class and literally daydream about getting into a school fight. Is that normal? Wait, I might need to go to a mental hospital.
Of reasons. Most are very petty reasons. Some are just straight up dumb. But when a fight actually goes down, you best know that the whole school is going to gather around the contestants in a flash. Turns into a main event in seconds. At school is boring, so who wouldn't want to watch a good old little scrap in the playground? But don't get it twisted. I do not condone any violence, YouTube, so don't strike me with that filthy yellow dollar sign, as I am unemployed and I have bills to pay, unfortunately. Rent is due. Now, there is a weird assumption that females are exempt from fighting and they never—
Oh no, they was the main culprits.
And I hate to break it to you, but you couldn't be more wrong. It might be different in your school, but in my school, female students fall all the time. And when they fight, they always—
When I was younger, I went to an all-boys school. When I came to America, I heard a bunch of school fights happening. I didn't see them, because it was around COVID, but they were all involving girls. And there were no repercussions. Nobody was even injured.
be throwing those weird ass haymakers and pulling hair. Don't forget the constant screaming while they're at it as well. You even got certain crazy females even fighting dudes. And the worst part, they end up winning most of the time. That reminds me of Ronda Rousey or something, bro. And you might be thinking, of course they quote unquote won because the dudes held back. But from what I was seeing, those dudes were trying, yet they still got their asses handed to them. After that happened, everyone in school ain't looking at those dudes the same, bro. A girl beat your ass, man. Imagine that.
And then they'll be like, oh, it's just a girl, I can't fight back. Let's just keep this stack. Let's call it what it is. You got your butt kicked, dum-dum.
That's literally what you're known for in school. Wrap it up. If I was in that situation, I would leave the school immediately. Now, I am personally not the type to fight. I have been in a grand total of 0 fights. Yeah, I know it's unbelievable, but it's true. I tend to stay away from fighting people. Number one, because it's just pointless. I don't know about you, but I don't want to potentially get smoked so that the whole school can constantly remind me how much of a weakling I am because I lost to some guy in a locker room. And even if I win, does that make me the school FC World Heavyweight Champion? No, it just gets my dumbass suspended from school, followed by some African whoopings waiting for
That's the only reason I didn't fight in school, is because I knew I would get in trouble. But no one really tried me like that in school. So maybe I was just never in those situations. Actually, I was in that situation one time. I didn't fight back because I didn't want to get in trouble. But the only thing I did was I tripped the guy up and he was punching me and kicking me. I tripped him up and the fight ended there. Oh yeah, I should have fought back.
When I get home. Now that's a fight I could never win. I won the fight, but at what cost? You see where I'm going with this? Number two, I don't want to see my face plastered on social media because some kids recorded me while I was fighting. It might give other kids a rush of dopamine validation, but it just doesn't for me. I would truly be embarrassed if I saw that online. I can imagine some old guy on Twitter watching a fight and thinking, of course, these kinds of kids always resort to violence. Predictable.
Usual suspect.
No, man, you're not gonna say that about me. I won't allow you to have any ideas, especially about me. And lastly, some obvious reasons why I avoid fights is because I don't want to go to the hospital or send my opponent to hospital. I am in school, not in the UFC. It's not going to satisfy my ego, even if the kids try to satisfy it. It just stains my school record. If you look at it from a logical perspective, no one really won in the end. One is in big trouble and another is injured. In reality, it's just low IQ, foolish behavior.
But they're both in trouble.
I'm sounding too much like a teacher. But when the teachers say stop fighting as it doesn't solve anything, they're actually right. So if I do sound like a teacher, then so be it. Speaking of teachers,
no, that's not 100% correct. Sometimes it does solve stuff. Sometimes the only way to fix an issue is to punch each other in the mouth. But most of the time, that's not the case.
Those unhinged teachers that had enough and fight students themselves. This phenomenon never happened in my school, but I've seen videos on Twitter of teachers fighting students in their classrooms. Those type of teachers must get fired straight away. Pick someone your own size, not some kids you're supposed to teach. Weirdos. And number 3, the only time I will actually fight is for self-defense purposes. You know, fight back type vibes. Or you could say I'm simply scared to fight. Who knows? But yeah, fights occur pretty much
You're scared.
anywhere in school. The playground, the locker room, the school bathroom, even the classroom in front of the teacher, and in school lunch. Unsettled beefs usually get settled in the school bathroom. It's just an unspoken rule. If the fight between two
Or the
dudes
locker room.
doesn't escalate out of nowhere, then it's usually planned to be settled in the school bathroom, like a pay-per-view event.
Or it's after
If
school.
you've ever ended up in a school bathroom fight before, it usually started because maybe you bumped
See, I never wanted to fight in the bathroom because it's usually piss on the floor. And usually fights end up on the ground. I'm not trying to deal with that, nigga. Or somebody falls into the urinal. No.
into some lunatic student in the hallway, and he gets mad and tries to punch you, but you somehow dodged it, and every teacher nearby that saw the fiasco stopped that student from going any further. However, all of a sudden, you decide to get way too big for your boots and you say, yeah, walk away, plus your mum is a
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Oh my.
School fight of the century
Just
right there.
mentioned something about his mother.
I had a friend who something similar happened, and he jumped. And when he jumped, he threw 3 punches mid-air because the guy was tall and he was shorter. I don't know if the punches did anything, but he was that angry.
Now you've done it. You've made him extremely mad. So he tells you, say less bro, you think you're tough. I dare you to say that to my face one more time in the school bathroom. And like an idiot, you actually agree. So you're basically asking to get knocked out at that point, but you don't even understand that. You just want to prove to yourself that you ain't no kitty cat. Your ego's too clouded beyond reason. That's why I will never understand the psychology behind school fights. Kids fight for other kids' validation and to beat up the power hierarchy. This is their way of thinking. If I beat him up, all the kids will respect me as one of the strongest in the school, and some will fear me. I love it. Yes! And your dignity is on the line during a fight. If you lose that fight, you will be clowned throughout all of high school at best, and for the rest of your life at worst. I find it so strange. Why do kids care?
See, the only reason I was scared to fight in school, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons I was scared to fight at school was I was scared I would knock the other person out and embarrass them to the point that they would come back to school with a weapon. Because that's what happened the first time when the nigga was attacking me. Nigga came back to school with knuckle dusters. Talking about, oh yeah, where is he at? Not in front of you, bitch ass nigga. The fuck?
There's so much. It's not like the contestants.
I didn't even beat his ass. I just put him on the floor and he still came to school with a weapon.
Or has fans after the fight.
The fuck?
Truly spoken by a guy who has gotten his ass beat in high school.
Okay, buddy. Locker room school fights were wild as well. After gym class,
Those were
there
fun.
would always be an event where 2 dudes are battling with their belts and ties in a locker room while everyone is shouting and recording. It was so unserious. But that's the point. In their minds, it's play fighting. It's supposed to be unserious. If you think lashing each other hard as hell is play fighting, then me receiving the African whippings is just a celebration of culture, and my mom is only training me to dance. Like, do you see the flawed logic behind that? Dudes will literally take it a step further and bring boxing gloves into the locker rooms, thereby changing the locker
Real
room into
niggas.
some boxing ring.
Yeah.
There are really no limits when it comes to school fights, brother. Now the big question, how did these school fights happen and why? Well, yeah, I just told you. There are millions of reasons and it will take a lifetime to list them all in one video. But the most common reason why they happen is because of a third party. The guy that starts the feud between 2 students. I call him
The instigator?
top of school fights. Most refer to him as the instigator. The instigators are the worst type of people. Causing problems out of thin air is their favorite hobby. Let me illustrate it. Let's say you're walking into a classroom and some guy wearing Jordans is inside the classroom right at the door. You open the classroom door and you coincidentally bump into him and step on his Jordans. He gets a little mad and says, hey, watch where you're going. And you apologize, but some random guy out
You
of
gonna let him say
nowhere
that
shouts,
to you?
Bro, he basically called you his bitch. You know fully well that you didn't say anything related to that, but man, now look, the guy with the Jordans is now raging, breathing heavily and ready to slam you to the wall. So you're forced to partake in a battle you didn't even cause. It's because of that bloody instigator. They have the ability to take the smallest, most minuscule altercation and turn it into a whole battleground like it's World War III. I also don't like the kids that played the most dirty tricks while fighting and use weapons, low blows, or call their guys to back them up. If you're going to fight, at least
Just fight.
clean. Oh,
And if you
don't
lose,
like
that's
it.
just
It's a
it.
school
That's
fight.
the
If
end
you
of the
have
fight.
nothing to lose,
There's no
then
part
there
2,
are
no
no
nothing.
You know the guys that talk
No
shit
coming back with a
to your
whack.
face but never swing. They keep
switch,
saying,
none of that.
"You're
Just
going
take
to
your
beat
L."
us so bad, you're going to forget your name. Watch my guy, watch. Yet they do absolutely nothing. They are literally all bark and no bite. The most they will ever do is a push, like it's supposed to hurt me or something. It's so pathetic. And on the other side of the spectrum, you got the guy that had zero control and start throwing goofy ass haymakers. They're just swinging just for swinging's sake. They don't even know what they're doing, but they're just doing it. It was funny and entertaining watching those guys fight at the playground with the whole school. However, the cameramen recording those fights, the cameramen never fail to fail when it comes to recording fights. It's either A, the video quality is so poor, you would think it was recorded on a 1964 camcorder, or B, the cameraman has an anxiety attack during the fight and shakes the camera. Because of that act, we couldn't see the actual fight on
Pretty
video.
much.
We could only see the contestant either walking away from the fight and the other contestant that lost knocked out cold on the floor. They had one job yet they couldn't deliver.
Bro,
But
that's
again,
so
I don't
real.
condone violence. And last but not least, you get the headlocker that just wants to headlock most of the time. Annoying as kids. Now that's the way I see school fights in a nutshell. Let me know if I miss any details, and remember, as a wise man NBA Youngboy said,
stop the violence. Hey, look at me. I could promise you it's a bigger side of life. Stop the violence.
He was spot on. School fights. Keep fighting this war. I want to see it on Twitter.